This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so in the previous session we are discussing about route shape, right? What is the use of route shape? Okay, we can route the
Click and we
documents,
can share the document.
right? We can route the documents depending on the condition, right? So depending on the condition, we can route the documents, right? Here, see, so we can route the documents depending on the different parameters like the profile, document property, dynamic process properties. Okay, so now let's say if the condition is not satisfying, the document will go to the which path? Yes, if the condition is not
Default
satisfying, the default path. Very good. So how many branches we can create here? Is there any restrictions?
25.
Hmm.
No.
No. See, so here restriction or there is no limitation while creating the branches. So how many conditions we are specifying, how many conditions are we are giving, depending on that conditions the branches are creating, right? Okay, the branches are creating. If you see here, we are giving the branch 1, branch 2 and default like this, right? So how many conditions you are giving here, how many routing values you are specifying, depending on that the branches are creating. Okay, there is no limitation such no like a branch shape. Okay, so interview might ask like this. Okay, interviewers might ask like this. Okay, what is the difference between, what is the difference between, right, branch and route shape? Okay, can you tell me what is the difference between branch and route? Can anyone?
Branch shape is a copy of the original documents in a original document.
Hmm.
Routing is
Very
uh,
good. So here the
route the
branch shape
different
is used to
doc.
create a copy of a original document, right? So minimum 2 branches and a maximum 25 branches we can create, and it will going to be executed in a sequential manner, right? One after one. If the control is going to be sequential, in a first branch, if we are getting any error, the control will not come to the second branch, right? And coming to route shape is used to route the document depending on the condition, right? And if the condition is satisfying, the particular document will go to that branch, and if the condition is not satisfying, the control will come to the which path?
Default
Default.
path.
Default path, right?
Default.
Okay, and here there is no limitation or there is no restriction while creating the branches. Depend how many conditions we are specifying, how many routing values we are giving, those many branches is going to be created. Okay, and we discussed about stop shape, right? Stop shape with the checkbox, right? Stop shape with the checkbox here, right? So we have options, right? In the stop shape we have a stop options which is continue processing other executions paths. Okay, if you uncheck this checkbox, if you are unchecking this checkbox, then it is not allowing you to execute further. Okay, if you uncheck this checkbox, see here, end and return, which means the control will come to this stop shape, then it is not allowing you to come to continue further. It is stopping over there, it is no returning the process. That's it, right? Clear? Anyone have any questions or any doubts still here? Yes, anyone have any questions or any doubts still here? Okay, perfect. So now if you don't have anything, so now we'll discuss about deployment. Okay, till now we discussed, see, in the integration we can do build of our integrations, deploy of integrations, and manage of integrations, right? So we are discussing about build. Okay, so now in the build mode what we can do? the code we can develop, right? What are the actions which we want to perform on the data? Okay, what are the things we want to achieve? All this code we can return with the help of build mode. Okay, in the build mode we can develop the code. Okay, after development is completed, we need to deploy the process, right? We need to deploy the process to execute the, to run it in a different environments. Okay, now one note. So we cannot see. So here in the test mode, here this is a test mode. What we are doing, we are testing it, right? Save and test. So we will call it as a test mode or build mode. Okay, this is a test mode or build mode. Okay, so now in the test mode or build mode, okay, we can test. Very important note, guys, please note it down. We can test at most 100 documents. 100 documents are 10 MB of data. Okay, 10 MB of data in test mode or in build mode. In test mode, okay, in test mode, in build tab. Okay, so here very important. Now you can see this is my build tab, right? You can see right now we are in build tab. In build tab we cannot test more than 100 documents or more than 10 MB of data. So here we are getting a single document like that. If you are getting more than 100 documents, we cannot able to test it in a test mode. And the size of the data, okay, the size of the data, let's say if you are getting 10 documents, the 10 documents having more than 10 MB of data. Okay, here you can see the data size is some, okay, the data size is some 0.82 kb, like that. If you are getting more than, if you are getting more than 10 MB of data, then we in test mode or in build tab we cannot able to test. For that, how we can do testing and all? Okay, so for that we need to deploy the process, we need to deploy the process, and then we need to test it. Okay, so we can deploy, basically we basically do some kind of deployable archives, right? So if you have any coding language knowledge in a coding, like we have a, if you remember when I'm installing the Atom, okay, I told you that the Boomi will support some jar files, var files, or jre files, right? These are all responsible to connect with the third party application systems or to run the code, okay, to perform the instructions which you are giving to the Boomi, right? So all these can be deployable. We need to deploy the particular code. Okay, for that we need to do some deployable archives. Okay, for example, we have jar jar files, right? We have a jar files, we have a var files, right? We have a var files, we have a jre files. So these are all files are responsible to connect with any third party application systems, or to perform the instructions which are giving to Boomi, like convert the data, split the data, combine the data, route the documents, right? What are the actions which we are doing over here? All this can be done with the help of jar files, var files, or jre files, right? These are all files, if you remember, when we are installing the Atom, some jar files or var files all are installed, right? Let me go there, where that Atom, yeah, here. See, Atom installation, this is a Atom sphere. See, these are all the files, okay? These are all the files which are jre files, right? And jre copy, some files are there, right? These are all the files responsibility to, okay, these are all the files responsibility to execute this process, right? So okay, so now the deployment, okay, before deploying the process, very important note, before deploying the process we need to create a package of the particular process. Okay, so here we are running different connections, right? We are taking different connections, shapes, components and all, right, in a particular process. So we need to create a package for all these shapes, components and all. Okay, so let me connect it to this. Save. So see here we have a lot of components, right? We have a components, we have a no shapes, we have a connections, we have operations, we are doing a lot of actions over here. So for that we need to create a complete package, right? We need to create a complete package, we need to group them and we need to package them. Okay, we need to package them so that it is going to be created one complete package from end to end. Okay, from end to end. So how we can going to be create a package, how we are going to be create a package? So here we have a package, create a package component. Let me create a package component, let's save it. Okay, now see here, select one or more deployable component from the component explorer to create a package component of each selection. And one more important note here. So you cannot package each and every component. Okay, now for example here, if you come to let me duplicate. Let me come back. Cancel. Okay, for example here we have a different components, right? What are the different components we created? We created a process, we created connection, we created operation, we created a profile, right? We created a map, right? These are all the different components. Okay, these are all the different components right now which we created in this particular process, right? So but in very very important note, okay, we cannot we cannot create package, or we cannot create a package and deploy each and every component. Okay, so there are some specific components which going to be create package and are going to be deployable. So what are they, we can discuss. Okay, there is a specific number of components only we can create a package and we can deploy. Okay, for example process is one of the component which going to be create a package and we can deploy that particular component. And the process route and some no some deployable components are there in Boomi, so we'll discuss later. Okay, now keep it in mind. So we cannot deploy or we cannot create package for each and every component. Okay, there is a specific number of components or a set of components which are going to be deployable. Okay, there are a specific or set of components in Boomi which are deployable. Okay, which are deployable. For example, process route, right? And custom libraries. So custom library and API proxy, API service. So these are all different. See, some of the components which are going to be deployable. So now, for example, here which component right now we are in? Right now we are in which component?
Process.
Process.
Process, right? Right now we are in process component, which is a core component which is going to be archive all other components and shapes. It will combine together and it will create completes the process, right? So now the process is a deployable component. The process is a deployable component, and here we can create a before see. Okay, before deploying any process or any component, first we need to create a package. Okay, create a package means we are combining different see, in this process we have a shapes, we have our connections, we have our profiles, we have different actions we are doing, right, with the help of different different shapes and components. So what we are doing, we are creating a package, we are creating one complete package to complete the end-to-end process, right, end-to-end process from source to target. So for this we need to create a package, right? So in Boomi the deployment is two steps process. In Boomi the deployment is two steps process. Two steps process. Okay, one is create a package, create packaged create packaged components, and the second one is deploy the process to deploy the packaged components, deploy the packaged components. So first we need to create a package. We need to create a package for the components, and later we need to deploy that packaged components. Okay, so for that we need to, we'll come here and see here we have a package. So click on package. Okay, now you can see select one or more deployable components. Okay, it is specifically mentioning deployable components. So as I mentioned, we cannot able to deploy each and every component. There are a specific set of components which are going to be deployable. Okay, like a process route. Okay, so for select one or more deployable components from the component explorer to create a packaged component of each selection. Okay, although you can select multiple components to package at one time. If you want to package or if you want to deploy multiple components at a time, you can do. At each selected component result in its own individual version to be deployed independently. Okay, now so whenever if you are packaging a component, okay, if you are packaging the component, each packaged component will result in a version. For example, so here for example, for now, let's say here we have a revision history, right? Revision history, how it will work, how it will going to be work, it is going to be create a one revision history, right? One revision which is nothing but a version, right? So these are all the versions, right? So same way whenever if you are creating the package, the individual versions is going to be created. The individual versions going to be created while creating the package. While creating the package, this package, okay, these versions are very important. Okay, I will explain you how these versions are going to be helpful in a real time. Okay, so these version numbers are very important, guys. Okay, so giving these version numbers, how we are going to be give these version numbers, how this version numbers will will help you in the real time, I will explain you. Okay, so while creating the package components, the versions will be created. Okay, for each individual deployment. Okay, each individual deployment, see, independently if you are deploying the versions, so individual version numbers will going to be created. Okay, if selected components package previously, the details of latest package components appear to the right. So see here, for example, right now we are deploying, right? Still now we have we deployed anything, have we packaged anything, have we created any package? No, right? So now before that I want to discuss something here. Okay, before creating the package, okay, before creating the package, I want to discuss something. Okay, so now for any deployment to happen, the environment must be configured. Okay, very important note. For any deployment to happen, happen the environment. Have we discussed about environment? Yes, must be configured. So an environment should have a runtime attached to it. Okay, have we discussed about environments? Yes. Okay, so if you remember, whenever we are uh, installing the atom, that time I told you that the environments also, right? We have a two classification. One is a, so if you go to manage atom management, in the atom management, if you click on new, see here we have a atom and environment. Atom and environment, click on environment. Now you can see here it is asking to install, right? Yes or no? So
Yes.
see, if you want to deploy any process or any execution, that deployment will happen when the environment must be configured to that particular runtime engine. Okay, so an environment environment should have a runtime engine attached to it. Okay, so now here we have now we are installed atoms, right? We have installed atoms, but on which environment you want to run it? Okay, for that we need to attach the runtime engines to this environment. How we can going to be attached? Now we'll see. Okay, so now in Bhumi we have two classifications of environments. Okay, there are two environments. Okay, two environments classification classification in Bhumi. Okay, so one is test and another is which
Prod.
one we have? Prod. Very good.
Product.
Okay, production, prod or production. Okay, if you remember, okay, when we are discussing about licensing, okay, when we are discussing about licensing, that time I told you that we have environments. So environments are classified into two ways. One is two types. One is test and production. So basically, we can install. And one more important note, we can install unlimited unlimited environments. Okay, unlimited environment, there is no restriction. See, we can install unlimited, but the classification must be two. Okay, you can install a number of environments like this. For example, in the test you have a dev environment, right? You have a QA, you have a UAT, right? You have a pre-prod, like that you can install n number of unlimited environments. Okay, in the test, and we have only one classification, that is a prod. Okay, so now we'll come here, we'll install. So now you can give the, let's say, I can give test environment, test nv. So here you can see here environment classification. As I mentioned, we have two types. One is a test and another is a production. So for time being, I will go with the test classification. Okay, test classification, and I'm giving the test nv. Let's save, just save it. And environment some same name. Okay, I think we have a same name, test nv here all. Okay, uh, 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 let me environment. Okay, I'm giving environment. Let's save it. Now you can see here you can see here where it is. Here you can see here environment, yes or no? Environment, this is our environment right now, we created or we installed. Okay, the classification, if you see here, classification is test, and environment id, this is the id, right? These are all the roles which you want to give, you can give. And here we can attach. Okay, we need to attach. And one more important note that, okay, very important notes, these are all two, no, very important note. We cannot attach single atom to multiple environments. Okay, environments. So whenever, if you want to attach, for example here we have a atom, right? Test atom is there, local atom is there. Okay, and this cloud atom is there. So these are all the different atoms we have. So these are all the atoms already attached to the environments. Okay, here we have a PR1 environment, it is a test class of production classification. And Prasanna is there, it is also another environment which is a prod classification. So now this already, what are the atoms we have? Okay, test atom, local atom, and this test atom, all are configured, or all are attached to the different environments. Okay, so now if you want attach this same atom to different environment, then it is not possible. We can attach only single atom to the environment. Okay, clear?
Clear, clear, Pawan.
Okay, so now, okay, so, and one more important note. Okay, one more important note, that is, so can we have two different atom attached to the same environment? For example for example this is my cloud atom, right? This is my cloud atom and this is my local atom. So now if I want, now let me come here. So now I have a one test atom. Okay, one test atom is attached. For example, I want attach this atom, another atom, test atom, to the same environment. Is it possible? Yes. Okay, yes. Okay, we can attach different atoms to the same environment, same environments. Okay, same environments, when when the classification, okay, when the classification of runtime and the environments should be same. When the classification of runtime engine and environments, okay, environment should be same, then only we can attach, okay, different atoms to the same environment. Clear?
Suppose, suppose in test environment we can molecule and local atom like that we can insert.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we can attach. See,
Yeah.
molecule is a different runtime engine, and atom is a
Yes.
runtime engine. If you have a
Okay.
both, if you want to attach these two runtime engines to same environment, we can do. We can do.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do. Okay, so now we already see we don't have a. Let me come here. Environment. So do we see here any zero items is selected?
Yes.
So do we see here any atom is no is available to attach to this environment?
No.
Here we have attachments. Okay, why there is no atom is available? Because already what are the atoms installed this particular account, already they are attached to different environments, right? It is attached to this environment, this is attached to this environment. So as I mentioned, we cannot attach a single atom to multiple environments. We can attach a single atom to a single environment at a time. We cannot attach a single atom to multiple environments. Okay, so now let me detach it. Okay, detach. See here, detach from environment. I am detaching it. Okay, now, so now come here. Now you can see here one atom is available to attach that. Yes or no? Now let
Yes,
me
yes, yes,
attach
yes.
it. Simple. Now you can see here environment. Now atom is attached to this environment. Now atom is attached to this environment. Right? Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay. So now if it is clear, then now we installed environment. Okay, we installed environment and we attached one test atom to the test classification environment, right? Test classification environment. So now we'll go to the Bhumi package components. So here let me come from the starting again. Okay, this is our process. Now we need to deploy this process. Okay, now create a package here. Say, so this is a process. Okay, processing employee data. This is a component which is going to be deployed now. So the component name is this is a process and type is process, right? And version, this is the first version. So if I click on here, view included components, if in this particular component type, okay, so right now we are creating the complete package, right? So what are the different components included in this component, a packaged component? Now you can see here we have actions, right? If you click on this gear icon, here you can see view included packaged components and history. If you want to check any history, you can check. Okay, let me click on view included components. Now you can see here, so CRT is a component and process. Okay, database connection, disk connection, and we have database profile, XML profile, flat file profile, map, operation map. Again, see, these are all the different components. These are all the different components which are included in this packaged component. Okay, you can see here the folder name and the version, latest revision histories, okay, for particular component, and who is modified and modified date, all the details you can see over here. Okay, let's come back to that version, right? So these are all the packaged components. Now click on C. So add, next, add details. So now you can see here, optionally apply details to newest version of your packaged components. Optionally you can add, but it is a best practice adding those details. Now here we can see here version number. So here we need to give the version number. Okay, each company will follow some, okay, each company will follow some standards for this version numbering and deployment note and package notes. So you need to follow that standards. Okay, keep it in mind as a Boomi experienced developer. Okay, I'm repeating, as a Boomi experienced developer, you must follow these standards. We need to give the version numbers. Okay, we need to give the some package notes. Okay, what we are doing over here, we are creating the package for that particular process, right? So that notes we need to give, and we need to give the version numbers. So these are all the things, small things will impact a lot in your career. Okay, so now let me give the version number. So this is my first version, right? So that's why I am giving this version number. Even if you are not giving this version number, even if you are not giving this version number, automatically the versions will going to be no, it will take incrementally, like 1 2 3, like that. Okay, first we are creating the package, right? So after no, this if it is completed, and second time if you are creating the packaged version, then the version will automatically will creates like a 2 when we are creating this. Okay, so now see, if you do not supply any name or version number is automatically generated for each individual packaged components and increments based on the latest version number. Okay, let's say this is my latest version number 1. Okay, second time if you are creating the version, then it will take version number as 2, like that it will increment. Okay, automatically if you are not giving anything. Okay, now let me give 1.0. Okay, and this is my first packaged component, package and deployment, right? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
This is my first deployment I can give. Okay, so now simple. So but it is best practice to follow this version numbers and package notes, deployment notes. So here wanting to do what are the actions you are doing, what are the changes you are doing, we need to give a complete note over here. Okay, I'm giving this, this is my no, first deployment, like that. But so if you are working in a real time, you need to give the notes what exactly you are doing over here in a 2 to 3 lines. Okay, so now we added version number and deployment note, then click on create a package component. Now you can see here packaged component successfully created. Okay, packaged component successfully, your packaged components were successfully created. To deploy your packaged components, click on the deploy button. So now the package is completed. So the packaging components is completed. Now the second step is we need to deploy the process. So as I mentioned, in Boomi the deployment is a two-step process. One is creating the packaged components. After creating packaged component, we need to deploy that packaged component to the different environments, right? So now we need to deploy. Okay, if you want to deploy from directly from here, you can deploy. So I will not go here, I want to show you something. Okay, now packaged component is completed, packaging the component is completed. So now we created a package component for this particular process. Okay, processing employee data. So where we can check that components, packaged components and all. Here we have a deploy, right? We have a deploy tab. If you click on the deploy tab, you can see here packaged components, deployments, integration packs. Okay, now come to the packaged components, click on the packaged components. Okay, now you can see here, before you can deploy your configuring process and environment, you first create a package component version of the process. So right now, before, see, it is telling before you create a deploy your configured process to an environment, you first create a packaged component version of the process. So now we created a package version of the component, right? So this is a, see, these are all the different different processes which we
Package.
deployed. Okay, so sorry, which we created a package. These are all the different process. So now come here. Okay, now come here. This is a, this is my first deployment, and when it is created package and version number and component type and deploy who is deployed. Okay, status is active. So now if you click on these actions, more actions we have. So here you can see here deploy, delete packaged components, packaged component details, packaged component history, compare packaged components, and copy and component explorer. Okay, so now if you want to deploy, we can. Okay, let me package component details. Okay, you can see here, you can see here details. Okay, package component id, this is a unique id. Okay, this is a unique id. It is very, very important when we are doing the deployments. Okay, and folder where it is, and created date, created by, and these are all the details. Okay, now come to the included components. Here what are the components are which are included in this particular package component, right? And deployments, is there any deployments we have created? No. And libraries, we don't have any libraries. Okay, so now come here, details, and right, and close it. Okay, now click on this package history. If you want to check the history, version number, created, all these details we have, right? So now come back. Let me, okay, close it. Okay, deployment package components we are in, right? So now we're going to be deploy the process. So click on deploy, click on the deploy. Now you can see select the environment in which to deploy your packaged components and optionally add notes about the deployment. So now you can see here, so now we created a package component. Now we created a packaged component. Now we need to deploy that packaged component to the environment. On which environment you want to deploy? So as I mentioned, we have different environments, right? We have a test, we have a prod. In a test we can have multiple environments like a dev, prod, I mean pre-prod, UAT, like that. It depends on your company. But so here deploy deployment environment. Now you can see here we have a different environments. We have a environment, we have a PR, we have a test envy, we have a prasanna. These are all different environments we have. So now on which environment you are deploying, make sure it is very very important. Whenever you are working in a real time, be conscious while deploying the process, because whenever you are deploying the process to environment, that process will going to be run in a business. Okay, it is going to be run in a live. Okay, so that's why whenever if you are deploying the process, whenever if you are working on a deployment, make sure please select appropriate environment. So right now which environment right now we are in working in? Environment, right?
Yes, environment.
And let me give, this is my first deployment. Okay, so now giving this in deployment, I mean deployment note is very very important. Okay, okay, even if they are saying it is an optional, but you need to give this, you need to give the notes is very very important. Whatever the changes you are doing, so you need to give that particular changes in a description way. Okay, like no, some 2 to 3 lines. Okay, now we selected environment here. Click on this. If you click on this here, you can get the environments, and here you can give the notes. Then select versions. See, as I mentioned, it is going to be select versions. So here you can see here process name, I mean type, version, and deployment. Okay, so now click on compare package components and unselect. If you want to compare, you can do. Okay, you can view the details here. So this is the package component, right? And select a different package. If you want, you can select. So now, so review, click on review. So you can see here environment is this environment, right? Deployment note is this is the deployment note. You are almost done. Before deploying this version, create packaged component. Confirm that the destination environment you have selected are correct. See, specifically it is giving our note, that is confirm that destination environment you have selected is correct or not. Which means, while as I mentioned, whenever if you are selecting the environment, make sure select a proper environment, a correct environment to deploy. Okay, so now we selected environment and we given that. Now deploy. See here. Okay, that's fine. So why you are attempting to deploy 3 more standard connections exceeded using account in the your current licensing? So why this is coming like this? As I told you, now we can see here we are getting one note, right? So whenever if you remember, okay, the licensing, how we are going to be calculate the licensing? Okay, that time I
Based
told
on
you I will discuss this
environment
licensing part
into
again
and
later,
connection.
right, when we are discussing the deployment. So now how we are going to be calculate the licensing in the Boomi?
Connection,
based on
environment.
connection and
Yes, based on the number of unique connections which we are
Connections.
consuming
yes, yes,
and the number of environments, right?
Yes.
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 Yes. So now
Yes.
here, how many connections we have? Let me check. Okay, we'll go to settings. Okay, the settings. Okay, we have a licensing. Okay, if you come here, we have deployed. Okay, two, we have already two. Only one connection is available for us. Okay, already two connections are deployed. Okay, now we'll where we can check this deployed connections. You can see disk and database, these two connections
Yes.
which we deployed. Okay, now we'll go to new disk connection and DB connection. Okay, we'll undeploy these two connections so that we will get a license again. Okay, or else I will undeploy all these processes. Okay, how we can roll back, this one? We'll go to deployments, right? We'll go to deployments. Okay, date range 1 month. Okay, I'm giving 1 month. Okay, these are all deployed components, right? Let me undeploy, and this is going to be undeployed. Okay, now refresh it. Okay, now you can see here. Now you can see here. We have a three connections, right? We have a three license, right? Connections now available three. So we'll come again. Uh, Services. Okay, deploy package components. So now click on this, deploy, select the environment and give the nodes. What we can give, deploy, deployment, something nodes you can give. Okay, select version, review, deploy. Now you can see recalculating the dependencies. Now you can see deployment is successful. Deployment is successful. Now we deployed the process successfully. Okay, if you want to check the deployment, here you can see. Okay, actions. Okay, package version is 0.1. Environment deployed by the no, nodes here. Okay, so now if you want to undeploy the process, you can roll back. Means if you want to roll back, okay, if you want to go back previous versions, you can roll back. Okay, deployment history on top. You can see here. Okay, so now we deployed the process, right? Now later, what is the next step for after deploying the process? Till here, anyone have any questions or any doubts? Till here,
Suppose
anyone
can
have any
we
questions or
suppose can we
yes?
create instead of a single process we can create five six like that in single deployment.
Which means again, if you want to
Mean
create again version here,
no.
the version latest, yes,
So here process synchronization that process is there now for that component we have created. Suppose multiple
yes,
process can we create a single component and single deployment for that?
like you are saying multiple processes.
Yes, yes.
No, it is not possible. See,
Ah,
each process is an individual deployment component. Okay, for
ah,
example, let me come back. For example, here we have a this processes. Okay, let me take this main, this is a one process, okay.
uh,
And if
uh,
you come here, let me, this is another process. Okay, you are saying that can we create for this and
mm,
this for process the
yes, yes,
same
yes,
version
yes.
number, right? No, it is
No.
not possible because each
Mm,
process is an individual deployment component. Okay,
okay.
each process is an independent or individual deployment component. It is not
Uh,
possible to combine. For example,
mm,
let's say, so this is my process. Okay, this is my process. Under this
mm,
process, I'm using this process as a sub process. Okay, this is
mm,
my main process. For example, here we are creating one sub process, right? Okay, now in this sub process, let me take one more branch. I will explain. Very good question. Okay, so now let me take this. Well, I want to create one more sub process. Okay, one more sub process. For sub, all the sub process, which shape we'll use?
Process
Process
call.
Yes, to call a sub process, which
process
shape
call.
we need to use?
Process.
Process
process
call.
call.
Process.
Right. Okay, so now I'm using a process call shape to call the sub process. For example, so now here, so this is a process, right? Integration troubleshoot is a process. So now this process I'm using as a sub process for this main process. Let me configure it. Here I can choose, right? Process is a component where we can reuse, right? So this is the integration troubleshooting to the professional, something is there. So now if I, if I use this, so now this is a different process and this is a different process. So but I'm using this process as a sub process for this process, right? So now we can create a package component. Now we can create a package component which includes, okay, we are not, independently creating. Now see here, so for that, for example, here my sub process is there. Okay, for this sub process we are not creating independent package or we are not deploying independently, right? We are not in deploying independently this sub process. Automatically when we are deploying this main process, automatically the sub process also creating package and it is going to be deployed. Yes or no?
Yes, yes, yes,
Clear?
yes, yes.
Yes.
Now it is clear. So if it is a sub process, if it is a included sub process to this main process, then we can deploy, I mean we can add into this deployment. Okay, again, if you remember, we can call sub process two way. What are they? One is process call, another is process route, right?
Process route.
Process call and process route. Okay, so now if you are using process call shape, we can deploy. Okay, we are not going to be deploy the sub process independently. When we are deploying the main process, automatically the sub process is also going to be deployed. Okay, so now if you want to deploy the main process and the sub process independently, if you want to deploy this main process and the sub process independently, then we need to use a process route shape. So I will explain you how to use a process route shape and how we can going to be deploy process route shape and how we can going to use that, where we are going to be used. I will explain you later. But keep it in mind, whenever if you are creating the process component, a packaged component, and if you are deploying, okay, automatically the whole process, this main process and the sub process, or is going to be deployed at a time. Clear?
Clear, Pawan. In real time, a deployment team is there, or a developer need to deploy.
Depends on company to company, but most of the time 90% of the developers only will deploy the process. They will monitor the process. Okay,
Okay,
so
okay,
that is
okay.
what that's why I'm explaining over here. Okay, most of the time,
Yes,
okay, as a Boomi developer, this is your responsibility. You need to build the tab, we need to develop the code, you need to deploy the code, and we need to manage the code. Okay, now you can see here we have a build, which means development. We have deploy, we can deploy the process, we can manage. How we are going to be managed, we'll discuss. Okay, till here anyone have any questions or any doubts?
Pawan, um,
Yes.
suppose suppose you have selected the wrong environment. Okay.
Mhm.
wrong environment instead of the right environment. We are taking the wrong environment. We are deploying the process already deployed. Is there
Okay.
any way to revert those changes or like that or
Yes, very good. Yes, very good. So for example, here this is my, let me create one more package. Okay, let me create one more package component. Okay, so now version, latest version is 1.0, right? 1.0. Okay, 1.0 is my latest version. So now add details. Let me add 2 2.0. This is my latest version. And added added new code or new logic. Let me give some notes like this. Okay, added new logic, something like that. Okay, I'm giving, this is my the package note. Okay, create package component. Okay, now, so this, see here, packaging is stopped. Package was stopped because there was an error with the one of the your package. Okay, what is an error that deployed because the reference deleted component. Okay, view users component, something we deleted in that. Okay, okay, so why it is telling that, I think this is a component which we deploy or not deleted. Let me stop share over here. Let me create a package for this. Okay, now add node. Let me add 0.2 sub process. Again, the package was stopped because there was an error. Okay, process error. Why we are getting an error? Okay, contact the DB profile. Maybe I think I'll remove this. Just give me a second, guys. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I think something is we deleted in this. Let me, okay, now this. Let me remove this. Create a package. Save. Add details. Some 0.2. So now you can see here, package component successfully created. Now deploy it.
yes.
So as you are saying, so see, so now every time it is asking to select a different environments. For example, if you know selected this environment, okay, now if you are
Mm.
selecting this environment, let me first select this one, and let me do a package deploy. Now we deployed the process, right? Now what you are saying, for example, this is a two version, see, 1.0, 2.0. So now now you want to roll back, this version to 1.0, right? So if you
Mm.
come here, we have a deploy packaged component, right? Okay, so now come to the deployment. Okay, come to the deployment, and this is my latest version, right? Latest version is 2.0. So now you want to roll back into 1.0. Now come here, we have a rollback. Okay, now roll back, this is the environment, and the latest version, to which version you want to roll back. Now you can see here 1.0 is version which you want to roll back. Any other versions if you have, then if you want to go back to that particular version, you can roll back. So that is what I told you, that these versions are very very important. Okay, now review,
Okay.
deploy. Now you can see, close it. So now you can see the deploys latest deployment is 1.0. Yes, clear.
Clear. Thank you.
Okay, till here anyone have any questions or any doubts? Till here anyone have any questions or any doubts? Yes. Okay, tomorrow we'll discuss in depth. Okay, how we can monitor, how we can schedule this process. Okay, after deploying, what we need to do. Everything tomorrow we will discuss in depth. Yes. If
Yeah.
anyone have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can
Hello.
wind up the session here, and tomorrow we'll discuss in depth.
Hello, Pawan. This is Mahidar.
Yeah, Mahida.
Pawan, actually, I didn't receive this sessions 21 and 20, 22 and 6 recordings.
Already, already I shared that links to everyone to download that, because everyone is facing that issue. They are not able to access. Okay, I shared the link, drives links to ask. I asked you guys to download that. Okay, anyhow, I will forward you again. You can put hi in my WhatsApp number, so that I can forward you those two recording sessions links. You can download
Okay.
them.